Hey, this is Coach Mark here from Mr. Triathlon. In this video, I'm going to take you through my 6-step process to have an awesome triathlon this season. I want you to close your eyes for a second. I want you to imagine yourself stood on that start line feeling fit, fresh, confident, fast and ready to have an awesome race. Did you feel that? Well, if you follow this 6-step process, that's exactly where you'll get to when you start your main race of the season this year. So step 1 is to really clearly define your goal. And in triathlon, it can be fairly simple, just pick a triathlon and do one. The biggest barrier for anyone not achieving any goal, not just a triathlon one, is to not clearly define that goal up front. So make sure that you clearly define it. So it could just be to complete a triathlon, it could be complete your sprint distance, your ironman distance, or anywhere in between. So the more clearly you can define that goal, the much better chance you've got of achieving that goal in the future. When you do this, you've got to bear in mind that that goal is going to be realistic as well. So if you want to do an Ironman in 2 months' time and you haven't trained in 20 years, then it's very unlikely that that's going to happen. So make sure that it's a stretch goal, so it's got to challenge you and push you out your comfort zone, but it's got to be something that is realistic or you've got no chance of achieving it at all. So make sure you set a really clear goal to start with. Step 2 is to start slowly. So the last thing you want to do when you start training is get to the end of the first week and feel absolutely shattered. So no training plan should be like that at all. So when you start, just take all those sessions nice and easy, and it allows you to get a real good consistency, or I like to call it a rhythm of training, so that week in, week out you've got the same time slots for your sessions, maybe a bike on a Monday, swim on a Tuesday, a run on a Wednesday, etc. So you can keep those time slots week in, week out, or near enough, so that you can get a real good consistency of your training, and that gets you off to a really good start when you start training for a triathlon. Step 3 is to list out your weaknesses and worries, and I know this sounds like a negative, but it's really not, so just bear with me and I'll explain why. I'm going to start with a quote from one of my movie heroes. "Defined your fear must be before you can conquer it." I really apologise for the worst impression of Yoda that there's probably ever been. But the point he makes here is to try and list out all your weaknesses and then put a plan in place to overcome them. And it's the same with triathlon. So if you're worried about maybe, I don't know, getting a puncture and not being able to change the tyre when you're in the middle of a race, then put a plan in place to do that. There's lots of workshops you can attend, there's lots of resources on YouTube so you can find out how to do it, and define a time frame where you'll be able to do that. So you could say something like, within a month I'm going to be able to successfully change a tyre, and then you'll go into the race not worrying about something like that, but being really confident that if that does happen you can change it and then continue with your race. Another good example is a lot of times people say they're scared of the open water. Again, just find a local coach, and then when you can get in the water, when the water warms up a little bit here in the UK, you can then start to have some sessions in the water with your coach and start to build a lot of confidence. And again, when you get to race day, you won't be feeling worried about it, you'll be feeling really confident you can nail the swim and have a great race. By overcoming these weaknesses or worries that you've got, you start to build a lot of confidence that you can go into this race and be brilliant on the day. So step 4 is, now we've set a really clearly defined goal, we need to find where the starting point is. So if you think about it, when you set a journey in the car in the sat-nav, you put in a destination, it knows where you are and it plots a journey to get there. So what we have to do now is find that starting point where your current level of fitness is. And in triathlon, this is easily done by doing a series of time trial sessions in each of the sports. You can do one for the swim, one for the bike and one for the run. I'll explain how it works in the run because it's quite a simple one. So in running, you can simply do a 5k time trial at regular intervals. And a park run is fantastic for this because it's the same course, it's really repeatable. So as you repeat this time trial session as you progress through the season, then you can start to see yourself getting fitter and faster, and again this builds a lot of confidence. On the bike we use something called the FTP test, or a functional threshold power. In swimming I use something called the CSS test, or the critical swim speed test, and this is a predictor of your 1500 meter swim time. And again, if you repeat this at regular intervals, you can see your progression and build lots of confidence. You're getting faster and fitter and going to have a great race on the day. So step 5 is, now you know you've clearly defined your goal, you've got your starting point. What you have to try and do now is plot that journey along the way. And I do this by breaking the season into 4 distinct phases. So the first one is the preparation phase, and this is what I touched on before. The preparation phase is about getting into the rhythm of training, keep the sessions nice and easy, and just make sure that you're getting that consistency week in, week out, to really just get your season off to a really good start. The second phase is general conditioning, and this is all about just generally improving your fitness. The time frame for general conditioning just depends on the length of race that you're doing, how much time you've got to train, but it's just generally increasing your fitness. You've got into the rhythm of training in the preparation phase, and now you start to add the right amount of load each week, just to stress your body and make sure you're progressing, but not too much that you overdo it. So it's generally improving your fitness. Apps like Training Peaks are fantastic for tracking your overall fitness, and what it shows over time, you can see a graph and it shows your fitness just in steadily improving. So you, again, building confidence that you're getting fitter and generally getting stronger. The third phase of the journey is specific conditioning, and what you do here is you start to really dial into that race pace and do sessions that are specific to your race. If you've got a hilly race, for example, then here you would start doing some hill repeats or something like that to replicate the race environment. And the reason why you do it in this phase and not earlier is by building that general fitness first. Your body's a lot stronger and fitter to be able to handle these sessions when you get to them. And in this specific training phase, you can really start to dial into your race pace. So from your training zones, if you've determined what pace, power, heart rate you're going to race at, you can start to practice that in this phase. You can start to really dial into that race pace, heart rate, power, etc. And your body starts to understand what that feels like, and you can start to feel whether this is set right, so you know you're going to be able to execute your race plan really effectively. And the fourth and final phase on that journey is your tapering phase. So you've built a really good level of fitness, you've dialed into your race pace. Now it's all about making sure you get to that start line feeling fresh. And what we do in this phase is just really back off on the stress on your body, just reduce that a little bit so it allows your body to recover. So the length of this phase just depends on the kind of race that you're going to do. So if it's an Ironman race, it may be 2-3 weeks. If it's a sprint race, it could be a few days. So this taper phase, you just try and back off on that intensity just to get yourself to that start line feeling really fresh. You can practice this in any races that you've got in the lead up to your big race, so you can practice that taper and just make sure you get it right for that main race of the year. And my sixth and final step is to make sure you plan the race, and not just plan the race itself, but the days leading up to the race. So the days leading up to the race, just make sure you've recce'd the course. If it's a distance away from where you live and it's the first time you've seen the course, make sure you recce the course, drive around it, and then just make sure you're familiar with it. You can start to think about timing, so how long it's going to take you to drive from where you're staying to the race, how much time you'll need to set up, and be really organised in your preparation for that race. If you're really organised about the logistics around the race on the day, you'll be really confident, you've got everything under control, you'll be nice and calm, and you'll feel great. So by following these 6 simple steps, it'll help you to plan your journey to that big race of the season, and you'll be on the start line feeling fit, fresh, fast, confident and healthy, and ready to go for an awesome race. If you enjoyed this video, then please do click the subscribe button and the notification icon, because I'm going to do subsequent follow-up videos to delve into more detail in each of these phases. So if you click the notification icon, then you'll get notified when those videos come out. Hope you've enjoyed it, thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.